Hello everybody, welcome to the stream for the 30th of June. Sorry, just making sure everything's working okay. Working okay for you there? Looks like it's all right for me here. Let me know, please, if you're watching. Just pop a message in a comment to let me know if you can see me and if you can hear me okay. I think you should be able to. Looks suspiciously to me like everything is up and running. Good morning, Alison. Nice to see you. Yay, we're all up and running. Okay. So today I've got, good morning, Christy. Thank you. Today I've got another Boscobel rose from out the front. They actually come up really quick. I'm surprised. By out the front, I mean out the front of the house. Front door is right there. The front of the house is there, garden. And I've got some roses in pots. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah. Boscobel rose, David Austin, which I've been spelling wrong. I've been spelling Austin A-U-S-T-E-N and it's I-N. Boscobel rose. I'm going to switch straight to the good morning everybody. I'm going to switch straight to the camera because I've already made a start. So you can see I've got something going on the panel here. I've got a little 5x7 panel. This is an oil primed linen panel, which I've then put another coat of oil prime on again. Reference, please come. There we go. So I'm not actually painting from that photo. I'm painting from this, from life. But this is as close as I can get to a photo of what I'm working from, so you can see that. Let's bring up the palette. Hello, palette. Actually, this is quite interesting because the way this is laid out on the screen, I've got my colors here that I've chosen to start with. And you can see, you know, they should be reasonably close to what you see on the photo, with the caveat that they're different cameras. You know, I have this camera here is on my palette here. And I took this photo with this camera. So it's a bit different. Here's the panel. Interesting day from a light point of view today. Maybe it's a bit dark. Maybe I might bring up the exposure on that a little bit. It doesn't look too bad, but let's bring it up a little bit. So I'm being attempting to be very careful with my drawing today. So the colors that I've mixed out here, I think these are kind of, I'm trying to figure out firstly what values I'm going to want for the various areas of the rose. So this kind of the middle of the rose here is split into two. It has an indentation in it. So this side is shadow and this side is light. Around the side here, there's light traveling through these petals, so they're higher chroma, and then I have a deep shadow here, and the very lightest point are these petals up here. So I'm trying to think about values that will work in each area, and I have to be careful because if I bring the value like of this area down too low, this shadow area here, then I won't be able to get the chroma. By chroma I mean intensity. Let me show you what I mean. Page from my trusty Munsell book. So, you know, you can see like this is slightly more orange than most of the colors that I've picked out so far, but the red side of the hue wheel is typically like this. So these colors are all the same hue. There's value from dark to light and chroma from near to gray to very intense color. And these colors, you know, this one reaches its highest chroma about the middle of the value scale, you know. And I want as much chroma as I can get down here. So, and if I drop this value too low, then I won't be able to get the chroma, and it won't look so lively. So, but I still want the separation of the values between the light and the shadow. So I have to compress the values a little bit. So for the lightest value up here, I'm going to have this, and this will go up to white, and the hue of this is much more a blue-red. This is, I think, is going to be about right for this area here, these where the light's traveling through. Can you see that? Maybe you can see that on the photo. It's very it's higher chroma because there's light traveling through it, translucent. Somewhere around these colors for the light side, it's maybe too chromatic, and I'm going to need probably something else here that I haven't got yet. And the dark side around here, no, actually this is the dark side around here. I'm unsure of this side at the moment. This bit here is the deepest shadow, the darkest shadow, which is round here, which is slightly darker than this and lower chroma, and goes out more towards a blue-red. So I'm not really sure that I've got what I need here. So I'm going to start putting some colours in and just try and get a feel for how they're going to work. So I've drawn it out already reasonably carefully, and I've put in a rough value for the background. It's lighter on this side than darker on that side, but I'll probably change that a bit as I go along. It's getting overcast as I'm talking, so I'll bring the cameras up a bit more. Just bring the exposure up a little bit. The colours are amazing on these roses, and I didn't really realise at first how high the chroma is on these colours. It's a lot higher than I thought. It's like in places it's at the upper extremes of what you can reach with paint. The highest chroma red I've got here is this one, and I've found that I can't reach it with the colours I've got here, the tube paint. So I've got naphthol red here and quinacridone rose. And so I'm just about to order some more, some pyrrole red, to see if I can get a slightly higher chroma. Because it's just interesting to see if I can get a little bit higher. So I'm going to put the lightest part in first, which is this little bit here, that petal there. So I haven't really finished mixing the colours, but I think I've got enough of a starting point to start to think about it. So there's I've toned the panel, by the way. I've covered it with a thin layer of linseed oil, as I usually do, and then painted into it with a mix of ivory black, titanium white and raw umber, and then wiped a lot of it off. So that it ends up with a toned canvas with a thin layer of colour. I would rather get one petal right today than finish the rose. This is how I'm looking at things today. So I'm thinking immediately about this relationship between the background and that there, you know, trying to keep that in mind. And then, so that's my lightest light part. So the darkest dark part, get a separate brush. I think this is going to be about right. It's back here. I'm not 100% decided on the values yet. But this is like pretty much the highest red I can get at that low value. No, it wasn't the highest chroma. It was, I dropped it a little bit because these petals at the edge are not that high chroma. Yeah, I did drop it a little. So the background there needs to show as being slightly lighter, but not too much. So I'm interested in finding where I think the middle of the range is going to be against the background. So yeah, it needs to be. So there's a relationship here against the light part against the background, and here the dark part against the background, and I think the background's too dark there with what I just put on. So but I know that the values on the panel are going to be closer together than they are from what I'm seeing. And also I'm thinking about the chroma, where I can get the most chroma and where I'm going to need it, and where I might want to change the value balance. I think balance is probably a good word for it, because it's with something like this, I think anyway, a lot of it is about the balance between the values and the chroma, like getting the values in the right place so that you can get the chroma you want, where you want it. So I'm thinking about probably the next most important point to get in is this shadow here. So let's think about that. The reason I've got two, these are the same chroma pretty much in the same value, but one is more blue and one is more orange. It was so difficult to judge because the rose is so complicated, and some of it was definitely more blue and some of it was more orange, so I kind of hedged my bets and mixed two colours. Look, that's intense colour. Sorry, I'm not really looking at the comments right now. I'm just at that point where I've done a load of mixing, and I really want to start getting some paint down to see, I've spent probably about 2 hours just thinking about these colours and mixing them and drawing this rose out. And I'm really desperate to get something on there just to see if I think I'm going to be near what I want. I'm going to be losing a small amount of chroma, but the chances are I'm going to be 2 days on this anyway. So I'll be able to go over some areas again if I want to. So I'm trying. There are parts of this side that are darker than this, but I'm looking for a general. So this needs to be slightly lighter than this, more towards orange and higher chroma, which it seems to be doing so far. What's that, Francine? A second cup of coffee? Don't talk about coffee. I would love a coffee right now. I'm out of tea. I'm almost out of tea. No, I'm out of tea. I haven't really settled on the colour here, but the value is overall is going to be slightly lower than this one here. So there's a relationship here between this shadow side, and this needs to be lighter than this. And has more chroma than they will have on the other side. I'm just thinking about that. And I think I tend to use different brushes for each part of the painting. Try to keep them clean. Inevitably fail, but at least I try. What have I done with my... Oh, I've already used them both. Use this one. What did I use that for? Maybe I haven't. No, this one is clean. These are these Rosemary Eclipse brushes that, if anyone's seen Kathy Speranza's video series she's started, she's talked about these brushes, and then a kind soul Thank you very much. Ginny sent me a voucher for rosemary, so I invested in some of these Eclipse brushes. I like them very much. Some of Rosemary's brushes I'm not keen on. The natural ones I don't think are very good at all. But the synthetics are good, and these, I have to say, are gorgeous. So it goes more blue-red, and there's this really intense feeling of light coming through. I think that's too dark. You see, that's the problem. It's too dark. The value needs to be higher, but if I bring that value up, I'll lose chroma. What to do? What to do? And I generally paint opaquely. So this value of the background there is going to have to come down, I think, a little bit on that side. I'm really just bothered about the value more than anything at the moment, because I really want to get that feeling of that translucent light coming through. It's really like, it's an important part to me of the feeling of the rose. And actually that's probably all right. But we mean, so this is what I used for there. The nice thing about the Munsell pages is it kind of, you can use it as a map of the colour. So this is a red purple. This is this colour here. Actually, what I have there is slightly higher chroma. It's more like that. But if I need to go up the value range, you can see these go here. No, there. So if I go up the value range, then I lose a lot of chroma. That's the only place I can go. I'll lose chroma if I go up the value range. Can you see how this is a map of this hue? So it reaches its highest chroma down at this value down here. And if I go up there, one step up in value means a drop in chroma. And I don't, I want the higher value, but I don't want to lose the chroma, so it's awkward. This is what I'm thinking about how I might be able to find the balance for. Let's mix this color here and see if it will work. What I want is the chroma of this one, but at that value, it can't be done in paint. You can't have light coming through paint. So this is naphthol red, and I've just ordered pyrrole red, which is slightly more blue than this. I think, and I've ordered two types, one from Williamsburg, two brands, sorry, and one from, so I want to move this more blue, slightly more blue. Not very much though, actually no, it does need to be more blue. So this is quinacridone rose. So I've ordered one from Williamsburg, pyrrole. The pigment is PR254. And one from Langridge, which is a paint brand I haven't tried before. So I get to try two from different brands and see which I think is the strongest. So if I mix a bit of the blue into the red, then it should shift the hue slightly. It will drop chroma very slightly too, but hopefully not too much. So I'm just after like the highest chroma I can get at this hue at that. Yeah, that's good. Maybe slightly higher chroma than the chip, which is nice. can go there. And maybe it will be enough if I can manage the relationships all right, you know. I'm working really slowly today. I mean, I'm always going on about how slowly I'm working and how boring it must be for everybody, but today, like, even more slowly. And I'm just doing the rows. If you saw any of those value studies that I did before of roses last week, then I'm going to try and do that. I will probably, if I'm pleased with how this goes, I will probably add the leaves, and they would be best done whilst today, really, while the couch is still wet. It'll dry a bit overnight, but we'll see what happens. Which brush did I use for that? This one. It's not going to have the chroma. It's not bad. Did I ever solve the mystery of the missing roses? Not conclusively, but I've had a few people emailed me as well, actually. I think it's likely to have been a deer, because we do have them around here, and people tell me that the reason I thought it wasn't was because the tops of the roses had been so neatly clipped. But oh dear, boys are fighting. But people tell me that deer can be extremely careful. Maybe if I can add a little bit higher chroma at lower value just to bring a bit more in. Actually, I think that might work. As long as I manage the chroma carefully enough where it's not so strong. This is going to be an interesting part, but let's just get this in for now. I think the value relationship's all right there. I think probably the biggest change that I've made in my painting lately is to be working into an oil couch now. It makes such a difference. It really does. Paint goes on so easily and has a really nice quality. The brush marks kind of come out a little bit more. So this light side here is more orange. It's lower value than that and higher value than that between the two. So I've ended up with a value of about 7 on that area there. So I'm thinking about the values. Some of the chips I've taken out, but if you think of this as the value scale, like that reflected light is this value here. The shadow side, the deep shadow side here is down here, and this shadow is there. So I need to be between these two, so somewhere around here, you know, for the light side there. Actually, I think this might be 5. Yeah, no, it's 4. So this is slightly lighter, still darker than the value there, slightly. And the colour changes a lot, the hue changes as it goes into the middle of the rose. I think that's a little bit too far towards orange-red though. That's a slightly more blue-red version. I just wish I could get a bit more chroma out of it, but I can't. I think that's about right. So for that, I'm going to start off with Naphthol red, and I'm going to bring it up to the value I want with white. I mean, basically I've got a blue red, which is quinacridone rose, and I've got a more orange red, which is Naphthol red. And I can mix between them if I bring them to the same value to swing the hue more red or more blue. The more blue it goes, the more the chroma drops. Orange is, the Naphthol red reaches its highest chroma at slightly higher value. Maybe it won't go all the way up to that value. And I can keep a little bit more chroma. That's actually really close, but I'll have a slightly... So this is the quinacridone rose mixed with white. Bring a little bit in. Swing the hue a little bit. They're gorgeous colours of this rose. They're gorgeous colours to be spending time with. I'm going to keep that back. So this is like I'm doing a colour blocking, you could say, really, first to try and get an idea of if the thing is going to work. Elaine says, did you have the colours mixed prior to starting the video? Yes, I did. I've been working for about 2 hours, a bit more. Just trying to decide on what colours I wanted and mixing them and seeing how close I could get, and then doing a little bit of hunting around online for the highest chroma reds that you can get in oil paint, and wondering if I might be able to get slightly higher. So I've ordered a quinacridone magenta, and I've ordered a pyrrole red. Is it pyrrole? Is that how you pronounce it? I'm not sure. Pyrrole. Like you could call it a scarlet, and I think they often do. It's PY. It's a slightly bluish red. PR254 is the pigment. So I'm kind of mixing general blocking colours for broad general areas of what's in shadow and what's in light. They're really, really intense, these colours, surprisingly intense. What's that sheet I'm using for my swatches? The Munsell, I think you mean do you mean the Munsell colour, the Munsell colour book? These pages, if you mean these are from the Munsell book of colour. So it's like you could think of it as a map to the range of colour that you can mix with paint. You know, it shows you where you can mix your highest chroma, your highest and lowest values, and where they intersect. It's useful for lots of different things. But it's like a map to the colour space of oil paint. Is this going to show? I'm not sure if there's going to be enough difference between the light and the dark side to show the light and the shadow side. to show form. Yes, Tom, I do think it was the deer. It's hard to be annoyed with them because they're so beautiful. I see them in the morning when I go out and do my exercise in the garden, and they're out for their breakfast. Kind of feel like I need to be filling in these areas too. Not so much that. That bit's tricky. Complicated what's going on there, so I'm going to... I think it's on the way from here to there. So I suppose, I mean, the complicated thing about doing it like this is you're trying to draw with colour at the same time, and it's, you know, I really enjoyed the value studies that I did the other day, last week, because, you know, I just had to worry about the values, and in a lot of ways it was so much easier to control. It just came out with a much better result. Doing both at the same time is just I just need to be more careful. Try and draw and think about the values and the colour all at the same time, and attempt not to mess it up. Oh, that's interesting, Cash. Yeah, I have a feeling I might know the Sargent painting you're talking about. It wasn't by any chance Madam X, was it? She has a very luminous red ear. Apparently they used to put blush on their ears. So there's an area here I want to get where it turns to the light. So that relates to this bit here. It's slightly lower in value, so it has a little bit more color to it, but it's still very, it's at the top end of the scale value-wise. And there's not very much of it showing, but let's get it in anyway. Because behind that, this petal turns away from the light, but it doesn't seem to have, it's kind of side on to the light, it's oblique. So it doesn't seem to have as much, it doesn't have as much chroma coming through it as this bit here. It's a similar value. That was my dark here. Yeah, this is, I was saying earlier on, this is Rosemary's Eclipse Angular. Kathy Speranza was talking about on her first rose video. And they really are nice. For roses, you know, I mean, Kathy paints a lot of roses, you know, if you know her work. They work really well. So the value here is going to be slightly lower than this value here. And it's lower chroma. And more towards blue-red. Turns away from the light here. Not really getting the separation of the light and the shadow though. It's the part of the difficulty is being able to see it all. You can't really see until it's all filled in how it's going to work. There's a similar value back here, but it's even lower chroma than that. Some bits, if I just want a little bit, I tend to mix them kind of on the fly, but still being careful, you know, I want that value to be about the same. But the petal there has almost no chroma at all, it's almost white. So the shadow is more the colour that something, and it's almost the same value as the background, slightly lower. With just like the tiniest hint of chroma, I think, about there. So again, this bit here doesn't have any light travelling through it, so it's lower chroma. I wish I could just get more chroma here. I can only do it with a lower value though. Well, now the sun's out, that's probably changed the camera exposure quite a bit. Oh, not too much. See, I think maybe here should be more this chroma and this value, and here should be darker, but then this has to come even darker than that. So I'm thinking, I'm fairly happy about this here, but I'm wondering if I bring this value down now, then I'll lose chroma. Let's get the highest chroma I can get at the next value down. It's this. I don't want to get too far into details before I'm doing a little bit of painting of the shape, but I'm trying to concentrate mostly on the values and, if I'm getting a feeling of shadow and light. Camera's a bit overexposed now too. That's a shame the sun's come out. It was earlier on, it was like the perfect, what I always think of for me is the perfect painting day. It's like, brought it down too far. A very light but overcast day. I love that light for painting by. I feel like this could come down and this could have, if that came down, it could have a bit more chroma. Just a bit. So at the moment this shadow side is here, and I'm wondering if I can bring it down to here, which brings it down to almost the same value as this, which means I may need to drop that a bit as well. But that's already, what's this value? 3? 3. So in terms of the value scale, the shadow side is here at the moment. If I bring it down to there, it's going to be difficult to have any chroma, enough chroma down there. But let's mix this colour and see. That's actually really close out of the gate, but it just wants to be slightly higher value and a little red. So I'm just going to try with just naphthol red and quinacridone rose. That's good. So these colours are kind of laid out in terms of light and shadow. So this one would actually go here, and this one will need to go down a bit in value to keep the relationships that are there. It might work without doing it. I'm just not happy that I've got enough chroma here and there's not enough of a feeling of light and shadow there. I want to have that feeling there before I start trying to paint anything. Try to, get into painting any really smaller forms. I've confused my brushes. I hate it when I do that. So this was supposed to be one for light and one for dark, and they both ended up medium. Grr. Should probably pick a different kind of brush. Hello, big fella. You all right? What are you up to? Nothing, huh? That usually means trouble where you're concerned. They're gonna mix on the panel, so they're gonna end up slightly lighter than what I'm putting down. Let's just see how it comes out. What do you think so far? Good. Yeah? Are you just saying that, or do you really think it's all right? What do you think? What do you think I need to change? Do you think there's anything I need to change? No? I think this side might not be bright, it might not have enough colour, it might not be strong enough, the colour there. So I'm thinking about I'm maybe going to change it. Do you know what I mean? We'll see how it comes out, huh? I'm going to try painting it a bit darker. See you later. Yeah, Kathy's video, she's on the second one now of the series. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. The first one was brilliant. I have immense respect for her as an artist and as a person as well. I think I've probably said this before, but I don't know anyone who paints flowers. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know anyone who paints flowers better than Kathy does. Okay, so I'm going to try bringing this down a little bit now. What did I do at this colour here? I wonder how it will look. I mean, I know there's a lot of complexity of the form in here, but what I want is just a general... I want this impression of the high chroma, and I want an impression of the shadow and the light. You know, if I squint right down, I want to be able to see it. Actually, let's not try getting into those small forms yet. That's better, I think. I can't get any higher chroma than this here. I wish I could, but I can't. I think that's better though. Hello, D. yeah, me too. I'm glad it was nature. At least we think it was nature. No, we pretty much decided that we think it was probably nature. This is actually darker still. I think that's all right. There's a really interesting bit around here which is like slightly lighter, just where this part of the rose, where the edge of these petals are, there's light coming through them. It's about the same as this here, but oh no, I can't do it. It's slightly more orange and slightly higher chroma. Just around the edge there. And I'm wondering if this is going to be... I don't want to get into trying to paint each small form, but it is there. No, it's too dark. I can't do it. I can't have that chroma and the value. This is the problem I keep coming up against. The reason I'm focusing on it here is there's a section of it here, but it's lighter than this bit here, so that means I would have to bring that value down a bit. I'm not sure if that's going to work, but let's try it. I just want to be careful to try and control the chroma and the hue there. So that putting a bit of ivory black in it is really a blue, so it shifts it blue as well as dropping the value and the chroma. And bring the value back up. I've got too much chroma, but the value is pretty good. I have a feeling it might be, it might end up a little bit too dark there. Hey, big lad. What is it? You alright? Hey Lukey, you alright?
Hey, is it alright if I take my phone because it...
Yeah, you gone to the shops with Mum?
Yes.
Have you got your socks? You haven't got socks on you, Jessica?
Oh, 8%.
Shoes on.
Oh, well, there's a try.
Stick it on. Oh, there's one in the car. Stick it on, because you're not going now this minute anyway.
Well, yeah. Are you still streaming?
I am.
Mine only has 8%. When we go, Mum, can I take my phone?
Little bit concerned that that value is going too low. But it is showing the form there. And then behind it here, there's a bit where the light starts to travel through it again as it bends back, and it's more like this here. For which we use this slightly lighter.
I'm not thinking because I've got to go. The shop's going to be shut in any minute. You're right, I haven't looked and I'm not going to either. I've got to go. Shoes on, give me now.
I'm going to try and blend that a little bit. Yeah, I think that's going to be all right. Maybe the value is not going to be too low. So what's happening in this area here? Oh, hello, big lad. I thought you were going with Mum.
No.
Didn't go, no?
First of all, it's had his phone, and he's also going to be watching TikTok on it.
Whoa, really? What are you going to do? Where's your Captain Underpants books?
I don't know.
You can't have. You got 10 new ones yesterday. Even you don't read 10 books in a day.
I read 2.
How many is left then?
I'm just going to turn this off.
How many do you think is left if you read 2 and you had 10?
8.
Oh. So you're still alright for books then?
I'm just taking that of 8. I'm done. How much? 10.
Hmm?
Probably 9 or 10. Maybe.
What, you reckon you've read 10 books? No way. Dude, I don't believe it.
Yes, I have.
Go and grab yourself a book.
Daddy, Luke has TikTok on his phone and he's watching it. Probably watching it right now.
Really? Oh, well, that's not good, is it? But that doesn't mean he is, though. I think actually his phone doesn't have much charge.
Yay!
So, why don't you run and get yourself a book, dude? I know what you want. You want your tablet, don't you? It's not going to happen, though, Bean. Screen time is later. I'm getting distracted and I'm losing the focus and I'm getting into doing small forms, which I don't want to do too early. To guardedly say the colours are working all right, though, generally speaking. So this area here, I'm trying to see what this relates to. It's different, I think, than almost all of it. It's probably closest to this bit here. It seems like it's a very low chroma petal in shadow, and it's gone more almost like a white would be there. It's gone more like this. Actually, while I'm on, I think the value of that is going to need to go down, that bit there. Sun's gone in again, that's nice. It's easy for me to see the colours. I'll bring the cameras back up a bit. You're very welcome, Mum. I don't know if exciting is quite the word I'd use. I'm painting so slowly today. I don't know how exciting it's going to be to watch. I would guardedly say at this point that I think I seem to have found a good range of colours to describe the form. See this? That needs to be higher chroma there though, at higher value. But the problem is I will lose too much chroma, and that means that what I need to do is bring down the value of the background, which I think I need to do anyway because I brought this value down. And this value here is it the same as the background or is it lower? Probably doesn't matter a huge amount, but I want to be able to see this here, this edge. We'll just bring this down too low. I think I can live with it. See how everything relates, and you change something, then you have to. This value now here needs to be slightly darker than the background, and it's not. You alright? What's up?
I'm bored.
You're bored? Get a book.
Wait,
Bean.
wait, Dad.
What?
Mum said that he just sit in the front and charge his phone, so he's probably going to be watching TikTok.
Bean, I know you're asking for your screen time, but you don't get it until later. You know that. I'm sorry, big lad. That's the way it works. Oh dear, unhappy 6-year-old. So yeah, sometimes like really small changes can seem to make quite a difference. So I suppose a lot of it I started like with the middle values higher, and I'm gradually bringing them down. Now the cat wants attention. Wonder if it's raining. The moment he only really comes in if it's raining. Old studio cat has become garden cat. I don't see him much anymore. He spends all his time outside now. This bit, I want to put a good colour in there. I want to put the right colour in. I don't want to. I'm tempted just to try. Just to bring this value down a bit here. So I can see how that's going to work. God, they're so complex, the roses. It's like, I know, there's the reason I'm trying very hard to stay away from painting the small forms and just keep trying to think about the overall balance of it, is that I know how easy it is for me to focus in on a small area and then just lose the whole, just lose it. And then end up with a painting I'm just not happy with. So I'm thinking about, in relation to everything else, what value this wants to be down here. It's lower value than that. And that was the value I ended up using there. And it's also, it's a little bit more towards like, hello big lad, I know you want to be lifted up. I think it's about here, but lower chroma. So it's more towards orange, but it's lower chroma. So just to show you what I do when I'm looking for something, you know, I know, like I was saying, talking about this book as being a map to colour. So this one goes here, and I want something like about this, but lower chroma, so I can just choose this one. It's the same hue. Can you see that? A slightly lower chroma, and I think that's going to get me what I need. So I can use those pages to kind of navigate around, you know. It's not for everybody, this way of mixing very carefully, but I'm especially today. Sometimes I'm a bit more loose with the colour, and sometimes I try to be more carefully considered about it, and today is a carefully considered day. Thank you. Thank you. I think it's very early at the moment, but I'm trying very hard. It's very early in terms of the painting, but I'm trying very hard not to rush ahead, because I find a lot that if I spend loads of time at this stage and I get something that works here, I think I might still be able to bring that background down a bit. If I can get something that works well here, then you know, the final stages quite often happen quite quickly. I was thinking this might work now, actually, without I brought those values down. As the intervening, yeah. It might just do. It's a bit too close. I don't really have some areas. I don't really have enough room in the values because my values are closer. I don't really have enough room to make the changes that I want to see changes. I want to see a change between this value that I'm putting down here and this one. Actually, they're really close in the subject as well, so perhaps it's not such a big deal. But I do want the edge on this side to be soft. So I'm thinking of this overall, it's like a disc with a dent in it, with another kind of a funnel shape around it, and that's the way I'm trying to stay thinking about it, to think about the form, not just to try to exactly replicate what's there, because I can't anyway, so I'm trying to get as close as I can to the colours, but I'm also trying to keep thinking about the light and the shadow and how they relate, because my values aren't the same as what's there in the rose, because I can't reach the values. I think I'm probably going to want to drop this even a little bit further, maybe, we'll see. Yes, it will be up, it will stay in the group here, so you'll be able to see it later, Christopher, yeah. This. Now. Let's mix it enough. So this is raw umber. I'm going to bring that up to the value. Now, raw umber is like a yellow orange, low chroma, that's the right value. And then I'm going to bring quinacridone rose up to the right value too. To the same value. I'm looking for this colour here. I think that's going to be too blue. Value is about right. This, I would say, at this point, this is about the most careful mixing that I ever do. And the most careful about colour, because I just really want to push further than I have before with this rose, and I want to understand. Yeah, that's going to go too blue. I want to understand it. What's happening in the colours. That was a mistake. I didn't need the white, I don't think. It's already about the right value. That's it. What is it, big fella? Can you go into the living room and get yourself the next book in the series that you haven't read yet, and then bring it in here, please? Right. It's quite a complex little bit of the flower there, but I want to get a general gist of what's happening there, and it will work or it won't. I tend to clean off the brush a lot with linseed oil as I'm working, so I don't get too much terps into it. So it's darker just there. And then it goes into the light a little bit more, but it's still low chroma. Did you get your book? It is down to about the value of the background, I think, there. And then down here it gets lighter. This is where I want to put a leaf in, actually. I feel like I want a leaf there to show that change. Bean? No, you haven't. You've got 10 books. You haven't read them all. There's no way you've read 10 books in a day. Nobody reads 10 books in a day, not even me. Now lighter than the background. I really want to put a suggestion of the leaf here. Area here. Oh, nice. We're going to be treated to a little concert. One of the things he does when he's bored is he plays his keyboard, which I love. And he's surprisingly good. Just turns to the light a little bit there. So this bit is matching this bit here. It all has to make internal sense. And around the edge is this colour that I was talking about before. What did I use? This kind of high chroma, more orangey bit round here where the petals, there's a bit of light travelling through the edges of the petals. I want that just to show there. That looks about right. Play your keyboard for a bit. Play me a tune. I wonder if I can get a slightly higher value with the higher chroma there. I'm pretty sure I can't. But what's this? No, I can't. That's the highest chroma I can get. That's a shame. Unless I move it a little bit more orange and sacrifice a little bit of hue and I get a lighter. I'm starting to run out of room on the palette. If I can get a lighter, that's the same chroma. The hue is probably, it's not bad. Let's try it. It's for this bit, this ring around here where there's a bit of light travelling through the edges of these petals. They're part of this inner kind of disc, so they're more orange. The reds go more blue-red as it goes out to the outside of the rose, but they're higher chroma than I'm getting at the moment. So I'm going to try and take them even a little bit more orange, because if I take them more orange, the oranges, blue reds reach a higher chroma at a lower value, and orange reds reach a higher chroma at a slightly higher value. So it means I can get a little bit more chroma at the value that I want by pushing the hue a little bit orange towards this here. Where's my naphthol red? Did I tell you what I've got on my palette today? I don't think I did I? Titanium white, cad yellow, which I haven't used yet and I won't actually now. Yellow ochre, which I haven't used and I doubt I will now. Permanent orange. This is naphthol red. So I'm after the highest chroma I can get from an orange to a blue-red. Quinacridone rose. Williamsburg gold brown, raw umber and ivory black. These are for the leaves. So this is PY3, Aralide yellow, and this is Winsor and Newton, Windsor green yellow shade. So I'm now after this. Bring some orange in because it's going too red, and this is where the chroma comes in, because you can see this is a higher value than that at a similar chroma. So that's why pushing the hue round towards orange I can get a bit more chroma. This is where the little map helps me. And I'm trying to find ways that I'm really trying to translate what I'm seeing in the actual rose into paint, find a way to translate it into paint, because I know I can't do exactly what I can see there, so I have to try to find ways to just to paint very carefully and try and get these colours to work on a two-dimensional surface to describe that form and what's happening in the light. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay, that hasn't gone all the way up there, but the value is almost up there, and now let's take it further. The chroma is there. Let's try and push it a little bit more. There's a kind of a little, it's a sort of a dance, like a push and a pull for me. The way I'm painting a lot with colour at the moment is looking for the right chroma at a value that will work in the picture. So, you know, I've gradually taken a lot of these values down as I've worked through. And this one I'm pushing around, so just to try and get this. It's not a huge change from what's there, but see if it would be enough to show against here as well. Yeah, there's more of a value change that works better. It's a small difference, I know, but these things give me pleasure, being able to get just an extra little bit out of it, just a little bit more of what I'm looking for. Maya, yes, the quinacridone rose is from Michael Harding, yeah. I haven't tried any other ones. I don't know if any others are higher chroma or not, because they all vary, you know. So that colour actually will be the same thing as happening on this area. So it ought to be the right colour for this change here. And possibly this one here. What are you up to? You still looking for something to do? Do you want to do some drawing or some painting? Pardon? You don't know? So right on the edge of this petal where it turns to the light, it goes more blue-red and it's an up a value. Just the very edge turns to the light. around here is between the two. Starting to feel it now, I think, a bit more where things go. It's starting to come. A bit more. I haven't really done anything much with the edges yet. And then around here it's more. No, it's not that light. Tomorrow? What's the event?
Look how. Look. Event at tomorrow at none time.
At none o'clock?
Tomorrow at 0. You have an event at 0, Dad. You have to wait up straight so you don't.
What's that? I don't know what that means.
You have to wait up.
An event at 0 time. How can that be?
Okay, Dad, wake up early so you'll be tired and then you won't.
Yeah, I don't want to wake up at 0 o'clock.
Well, you have to. 1 o'clock, Mom is still in bed. Wait, 1 o'clock, Mom is still downstairs. At 0 o'clock, Mom is still downstairs. Mom, why aren't you in bed? I was too busy watching my news. And then it's 12 hours.
12 hours, whoa.
The movie's 12 hours.
A 12-hour movie, that's a long movie.
I only have another 10 hours left to go.
So around here at the edge it goes slightly lighter and lower chroma, but it's a very small change, and I had this there. It goes more blue-red. That's a value 3.
Hey,
I'm going to try I'd go like that at the edge, and maybe some of it I might be able to bring down 2.5. I might be able to bring down the value a little bit in places. That's not right though. Do you want me to get your big pad out? Do you want to draw? You don't have to. I'm just trying to think of things you might want to do, that's all. You just let me know. But you're honestly, dude, you're best off getting your book out, reading your book. You haven't read them all. I don't believe it. No way. Not possible. No.
My face is wet.
What did you do? To get your face wet.
And it looks tight scent.
Ooh, it's got really dark. Sorry about that. Let me bring the exposure of the cameras up. The light has started to go, which is always a little bit worrying if it goes too far. Then I might get to a point where I have to stop. But we'll see how we go. Them up a bit more than that. Yeah, actually it's got really overcast now. That's a bit better, hopefully. So this is for this area, like around here, like just at the edge of some of these petals. There's one down here actually I haven't painted yet. But at the edge of these petals, it goes up slightly in value and the chroma drops. That's not enough value change. Should have been. And it's about the same value as the background. And I do think I'm going to need to slightly higher here. I do think I'm going to need to drop the value of the shadow area a little bit. Don't have quite the right. And this panel is actually, it's a linen panel so it has a very slight weave of the texture of the weave still showing through it. Not very much, just a little bit, because I put a second thick coat of oil primer on it. And here it travels out to the light again. But it's low chroma still. Until we get out to the edge, it turns to the light. It's starting to get something of a feeling of light and shadow in it, I think, now. I'm just softening a few areas now, because it's slowly starting to come. Where's my teeny tiny softening brush? Here it is. The light goes up, it goes down, it goes up again. I'm talking about the daylight. No, the sun is coming out again. It's one of those days today. I have a lot of those days at the moment. It's interesting how when more light comes onto the panel, you can see the chroma more, you know. I definitely want to bring this value down. So I had this there. To go lower than that, I have to I'm going to have to accept a little bit of a loss of chroma, but it might not be the end of the world. I wonder how that would look now. I think that would be probably too... I think it's too blue. And I want more of a red orange there actually than I thought. Let's see if we can mix something. I'm ending up with a lot of little piles of colour here. My palette's slowly becoming less organised. I've still got a general kind of light to shadow going on though. I think I probably don't get any slower than this. This is pretty much me at my slowest. Just being really, really careful at this early stage to try to make sure that I don't mess anything up. So I know pretty much what I want down here, but I don't have chips for down this area, so... We're actually going to be using almost a full range of values on the rows. From right up white to, this is down to like value 2 now, right down the bottom. Will it work? It's going to mix a bit with what's already there. I just feel like I need it to come down a little bit. This value in places. Hopefully give it just a bit more of that, the feeling of the shadow here. I want to put in at least a suggestion of a leaf. I'm taking these off now because I've got enough here, and I know what all of these colours are here for, and there's enough down now, like most of the rose is covered, and I'm pretty happy with the general overall feel of it. You know, if I squint down, it's feeling okay, and I need a bit more palette room, so I'm going to mix up a green. So I used to use like a sap green from Old Holland, and it was Graydon, actually, Graydon Parish, who said to me one day on one of the streams that you can probably mix that. So I had a look at the pigments in it, and there were 3, and it was black, it was an arroweye yellow, not this one, but it was an arroweye yellow. So if you try this with cad yellow, it won't work as well. But with this very green yellow, you get a very green result. And then it had phthalo green, which moves it back towards a blue-green and adds chroma at a low value. You don't want too much of it in there though, or it goes very, very blue. And this actually, those ingredients, and if you want to go right at the top of the value range, you can add some white. They will help you get high chroma greens right across the value range. Worth bearing in mind. So I want a really low value as well. In the light parts, it tends to go a bit more towards blue and is lower chroma. All of my favourite brushes are gone, so I can't use one of those for the leaves. So I don't want to think about the leaf, I just want to think about what's butting up against this shape here and what value is it and how it's going to make this show. It should be like a really nice foil to these colours here. Help them to show. sun again. Very bright in here now. The light is all over the place today. I'm always complaining about this, but the reason I don't have the camera set to auto adjust the exposure is because it tends to get, it's very distracting. It tends to do it all the time. Frustrating when it does. Down to here, I think. I've chopped this one a bit short. I don't want it to go right up to the edge because I'm actually thinking that this is becoming, it may, I'm happy enough with it at the moment to think that this may end up having the time spent to become a painting. You know, depending on what happens with the rose, like if it lasts. There's a lovely dark leaf there just where there's a light. I think it can really help to look for bits of, like, you know, I'm interested in this bit of this leaf because it's a dark against this light, which helps to show what's happening there. And here, a dark against this light bit, this light petal edge of this one, and a little bit to show that form there, you know, looking for things that are going to help to bring out the rose, you know. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yellows are challenging, but reds, oh, Ivy reds are off the charts. These kind of like very high chroma reds are really, they really stretch you. They stretch me anyway, you know. I mean, maybe some people find them really easy, like, you know, I have no problem painting red roses. Yeah, show me red rose, I'll paint it for you. That's not me. I have to work hard at them. Like maybe I dropped the chroma too much. Then I think this one would be good to put in because it anchors off the side of the painting. So let's. And I'm going to try and show the direction of the leaf, the brush strokes. Yeah, the missing rose thing. Pretty much decided that it was a deer. Because a few people emailed me even to let me know about, you know, experiences they've had with like with nighttime rose snatchers, and that they were often deer. And you know, I'm quite happy to think that that's the case, because it means that well, you know, there's no point getting wound up at a deer. I love them. They're pretty, and you know, it's just doing what comes naturally, isn't it? Really, so I don't really mind so much. Deer can have one or two of my roses. Actually, rather more than one or two. So what we started doing is leaving the porch light on at night, and so far, no more roses have gone. Thinking about what to do about the background now. Kind of, in a way, I kind of like the way that this is still very brushy and disappearing to the original thing here. The original tone that I put on the canvas. But I will probably finish it all the way down. Decide what to do later. I'm happy for these leaves to be more suggested, you know, and a bit more brushy. Chroma drop on this side, which shows the light. Now I can see the rose better. I think it's. I really wish I could get more chroma into it, but overall I think it's not. It's coming okay. I want to work into the darks in places, and I have this now. Too much. So there's a few areas where. Oh, it does. So I think I'm probably happy enough now to start thinking about some of the smaller forms a little bit. Hopefully, whilst not losing the overall, the main form of the shadow and light. It's always tricky, this bit. It's so easy to start putting in little errors that eventually just break it. bit of flake white now, just to add some highlights. I'm going to work on this area more, but I want to do it slowly and carefully, bit by bit, to try and make sure that all I add is things that are going to improve the painting and not. I think I prefer a sharper edge here. I think I like that more as a sharp edge. Yes, I know. Yeah, the patience is hard, that bit. It's hard, being patient. I honestly believe that it's one of the most important skills in painting, is being able to work slowly and patiently. I don't find it particularly easy. You know, a lot of the time I want to rush on and see how something is going to look. It is difficult. Sometimes. But well done for having another bash, Mariana. Look forward to seeing the photo. It's very soft here. There's a lot still unresolved on it. But I'm reaching a point where I want to be having a bit of a break and coffee maybe, and have a sit down and think about where I want to go next. I'm happy with the colour overall. It's as good as I can get for the moment, I think. Thank you, Marlena. Yeah, I think overall the colours are working. I think it does. Every time whenever I do this, I say, right, I'm going to stop, and then I see something and I just can't quite let it go. It is beginning to get. I've lost this shape back here. It's beginning to get the form that I wanted. So hopefully, I mean, you know, if I can just work into the smaller forms a little bit now, be able to bring something out of it that will work. We'll see. There's still quite a bit to do. Maybe another hour or two before I feel like I want to be with it. I'm still thinking about bringing down this value around here even more, and maybe bringing in a shade, just a shade more chroma there. But I want the leaves to show, so it's a little bit tricky. We'll have to see. But the form is starting to come, I think. Quite happy. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope that was. I hope it wasn't too dull to watch, because it went on for quite a long time. How long have I been streaming now? About 2 hours. I'm painting fast today. Yeah, maybe I am. but sometimes going really slowly helps you paint more quickly, if you know what I mean. I'm itching to get in here and start trying to bring out some of these forms, but probably best to have a short break before I do. Thanks very much, everybody, and see you again soon.